Good evening. It is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, and coming to you from Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Tacoma, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. Good evening. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
There it is. So first, the first thing, how you doing? First of all,
Not bad. Not
good,
bad. Just
good.
enjoying the storms here in Denver right now.
There's storms. You got, you,
Yeah, it's the summer. It's usually around 6 o'clock. Dark clouds start rolling through, and you get about 2.5 to 3 hours of thunder, lightning, and sometimes rain, sometimes hail, and then it stops by about 9:30, 10, and then it's clear skies all night.
That's nice. I miss storms. We don't get storms here. So
Well, yeah, Seattle just gets like that. It's
yeah,
it's a lot of rain. It's not that
no,
crazy.
we get a lot more. Yeah, we get a lot more constant rain, but I don't know. It's not even that much rain. We haven't even had that much rain this year. But the weather has been really weird. So this is June 25th, right? We're at the end of June. And I'm guessing that today is probably the fourth or fifth day this year in the 80s.
What's this big heat wave that's
What's everywhere?
working
The heat.
across Maine?
Well, the heat must be everywhere else because it's not really here. But when it gets to 80 after it's been 60, it feels warm. I mean, it's hot. And, we live in a house that has no air conditioning. So
Yeah, that's not.
80, when it's 80 during the day, it gets really warm upstairs, is all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you just have to do that, like crank in cold air in the evening, and
We
then board up the house during the day
so
the best you can.
we bought two room air conditioners, portable ones, the
Yeah,
ones on wheels. And for the room at night when I sleep, it's great. It just doesn't cool down everything. There's some common areas. This room, for example, the
sure.
studio is not air conditioned, so it's a little warm. Just FYI. So if you see, the sweat up here, that's because it's probably 85 up here. It's probably 70 something downstairs, but it's probably 85 up here in this room, for whatever reason. The sun, you know.
I was talking with a contractor when I worked at Lakeside, and he was saying that because they didn't do like mass houses, but they did custom houses for people, so they built houses. And he was saying, and I was asking him about not putting in AC units, and he said that's not a thing anymore. He's like,
No,
for the last 10 years, not a single person has ever requested like, we don't need AC. He's like,
yeah,
it's everyone
every
needs AC.
house.
Yeah,
But that's with warming too, right? Because back in the 60s, apparently that wasn't a thing, right? When these houses were built around here, 60s and 70s, there's no air conditioning. But now, yeah, every house
well,
has air conditioning.
I think I read somewhere that the average, like especially in Portland, like the average temperature isn't much higher now. It is higher, but it isn't much higher year
Yeah,
over year now than it was in the 60s and the 70s and things like
yeah,
that. But the streaks of massive heat are the worst they've ever been. Three,
yeah.
4 weeks in the 90s, like that never used to happen. You'd have a 90-degree day every now and then,
When
but you
uh,
wouldn't have a week.
when Lonely Tree Media headquarters were in Yakima,
Yeah.
before before we actually started doing the show, by the way, um, there was a week. I want to say it was 2016 or 2015. There was a week in June, the end of May, early June, where Yakima hit 100 degrees for 8 straight days, and it was unbelievably warm. I mean, it was just ridiculously hot. 8 straight days is a long days to be 100, unless you're in Phoenix, right? Or you expect it down there in the desert, but where we are, I was like, that's a lot. Anyway, it was a hot. Then there were thunderstorms, right? Because any kind of storm when it's 100 degrees outside, any kind of weather shift becomes a thunderstorm. So there was that, but it was hot. I mean, it was just flat out hot. It wilted tomatoes. It did all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so there's that. But yeah, we live in an air conditioned house, but I've got the rooms that need to be air conditioned, so I can get to sleep
Yeah.
because that's all that really matters,
That's
right?
fair.
Yeah, as long as you get to sleep. It's funny because we come in. This is going to take up most of our show, by the way. Um, we come in at night, and I'll go downstairs. I mean, we walk into the main floor, right? And I'll go and I'll sit in the living room, and I'm watching, well, Euro 2024 or Copa America, whatever's on. But I'm watching soccer, and I'll get up and I'll go over to the thermostat and I'll go, you know what? It's 75 degrees down here, right? Which I've never done. I mean, 68 to 70, right? Is
Yeah.
the thing. I'll come in and I'll look at it. It's 75 degrees down here. Your mother and I will say the exact same thing. It doesn't feel like 75 because we've been getting used to it, because we've been sitting in it 73, 72 for a long time. And now 75 is like, meh, you know, you get acclimatized to it. And it's kind of weird that we're doing that. But
Whenever I go back to visit Austin in Portland from here, where I have AC in my house, is permanently set to 68. Uh, every time I go back to visit him, he doesn't have AC in his house, and
that,
so or apartment,
eh,
and I'm just like, oh, it's
they don't
70.
have AC in that apartment?
Okay, so they have a wall unit, which is the same thing as having a window unit or a
Yeah.
portable one. It's all the same, but it doesn't take care of the whole house.
Oh, gotcha. Does an
So
area.
yeah, it's in the living room, like the
Mm,
little main sitting area. There's a little AC like wall unit type thing there, but
yeah.
it doesn't. It's not going to take care of the rest of the house. Now they have a big portable one in their bedroom, and that is like an icicle in there. But the guest room or his office, which is where I sleep when I'm there, it does not have anything.
You're
So
and see, like your Grandpa Jones. You're
mhm,
If you go down to his house, and I mean he's old, so I'm sure there's a circulation issue. Just like all when we go hang out with the older generation, your
yeah,
grandpa, Tim and Vicky, those people, there are people there that are like their circulation's not that good, so everything's cold. It's always cold, and so they always want the heat up, and
right,
and so you go down to your Grandpa Jones' house, and it's like he keeps it at 80 or 82. And
yeah,
part of that's because he doesn't want to pay for the air conditioning. I get it, but then we go down there and we're like, we can't stay here. There's no, there's no possible way I can spend the night with it being 80 degrees inside the room. There's no way.
yeah.
So, eh, it is what it is. I mean,
I'm
I'm
reading here that the reason why elderly people have are cold more often. The number one reason is the decreased metabolic rate.
yep.
As people age, their bodies are less able to generate heat, making them more sensitive to cooler temperatures. The second reason is thinning skin. The fat layer underneath the skin that helps retain body heat decreases with age.
Hmm.
The third one is circulation, reduced blood flow, and then the fourth one is medications.
So I got that to look forward to. Thinning
Yeah,
skin.
so you got all this, so, like vitamin B12 deficiency.
I feel like I've been carrying around all this for a reason. I mean,
Good
but
times are on the way. Of
apparently
course,
not. I don't know.
of course, it comes with reduced blood flow, so you got to deal with that too.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. By the way, you have to take care of us when we're old. By the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. Let's talk sports because we can. Also, by the way, Grubhub forgot my burger tonight on my order, and it was the first thing I put in the basket, and it's shame on me for not double checking the order. But everyone else here in this house got a burger, and mine didn't come.
So
Um,
when you went back and looked at your order, it was not on there, right?
right.
So it's not that Grubhub made a mistake.
Not really.
It's that we don't know where the mistake happened.
We don't know. But I definitely clicked on it
You
and put it
definitely
in the
added it.
bag. But then at some point in time,
Did you then hand the phone to Chelsea and let her pick
no,
stuff?
no, no, no. I did a whole ordering. It never
Oh,
left me. It was online. I did it like on this computer. It never left my hands. I had total control over the whole thing, and I ordered 3 hamburgers, but I didn't double check to make sure that there were 3 hamburgers when I got done because I assumed it had everything. Because let's be honest, the total was like 50 something dollars,
Yeah.
right? I got 2 hamburgers from Red Robin for $50, which seems like a lot. Does it not? I mean, does it
Nah.
not? $50.
Well, I mean, were there fries and stuff too?
Well, they come with fries. Everything comes with bottomless
I
fries.
know,
They didn't order
I
like
know,
extra sides. No,
but there's the Grubhub fees,
no,
right? And then there's
because
state taxes.
because I'm an Amazon Prime member. There's no Grubhub delivery fee, but the order fee is like half price, $3.
So what
Hmm.
20 something dollar burger
Okay,
were each of these
so
people eating?
so the lava. What was it called? The lava burger
Okay,
from Red Robin. Lava something. Lava queso. That's what it's called. The lava
sure.
queso burger is $25.
That sounds like Chelsea.
And it was. And then your mother ordered the just plain bacon cheeseburger, which is $16.
That's inflated because like
Yeah,
a tavern double
it's
like
12 now.
okay, maybe
It's
that
12.99 because that's what I ordered. The Haystack Tavern Double. That's what I want.
was good.
Yeah, right. Because it's got the sauce and the crispy straws and whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I ordered. Was the 12? It's 12.99.
Huh.
Comes with fries, and then on the order you order extra fries. Right. I did that. I did all that, but I didn't get any of it. Just FYI.
$25.
$25 cheeseburger, and I'm like, that's New York prices,
Hell.
right?
Yeah, like I swear all the burgers at maybe that's how they kind of work this. Maybe in the Grubhub app the prices are inflated in there
And it could
already.
Right.
Because I swear I don't see burgers that often that are over 20 bucks
No.
at Robin.
I mean, if you had a $15 to $17 burger, I would tell you you're probably overpriced, but that's a going price for a sit down restaurant, right?
Yeah.
If you got like the tavern doubles, which are like 10 or 12 or depending on which one you get, it's like 10 to 14. Okay, but that's what I like. I mean, those are the things that I like, and then I can understand it being that much money, but a $25 cheeseburger, what are we putting in it? Because the burger's not any bigger than the regular cheeseburger that your mom got, right?
So
But
check this out. I'm on Red Robin's website, signed into the Aurora, Corner Star Way Aurora store. Lava queso burger, $17.49.
What?
$17.49.
I got robbed.
Yeah, they definitely. Oh, they didn't charge you any Grubhub fees, but they put it into the price of the burger.
Put it in the price of the burger.
Actually, hold on. I wonder if I can. I can definitely. What's your zip code?
98444.
That's actually a fun zip code. 98444.
444. It's easy, right?
Oh yeah. See, like I can click on the Gravelly Lake Drive in Lakewood.
That's the one we ordered from.
When does it actually give me a menu?
And by the way, there is a Gravelly Lake.
Is there?
Yeah,
so
and I wondered that for the longest time.
$17.49 for the queso burger.
So why was
$29.
it $25?
Some
$8 to order it.
Yeah, you were convenient.
That's ridiculous. All right. Well,
and now you know.
Lesson learned. Right? Lesson learned.
Well, yeah. The lesson is double check the final thing.
Well,
and
I need to order it. I need to order it directly from Red Robin.
Yeah.
And then pay the fee, whatever it is, to have it delivered. But whatever. I'm lazy, so I didn't really want to do that. And it's my birthday, right? So it's my birthday today, right? And so there's part of that, right? So I didn't get a cheeseburger for my birthday. Little disappointed. Yeah. Little disappointed in that. It's hot in the studio on my birthday. A little disappointed in that. Although my bedroom's going to be great for sleeping, not a problem. I did get this awesome hat from one of my offspring for my birthday. It's great. Go Mets, who are almost 500, by the way.
Almost.
I mean, there's some sports talk for it. We're almost 500, the Mets are. And my boss at work.
Just in time for them to come to Seattle and
lay an egg, right?
Yeah.
My boss at work is a Mets fan. So we are, I mean, I moved up a notch immediately when he came in because I said, "You're a Mets fan? I'm a Mets fan." And then we're like brothers now. So there's that. Yeah, let's talk about, speaking of baseball. Some sad news out of baseball. Willie Mays passed away last week on Tuesday, a week ago today, at the age of 93, which is, I mean, fantastic, right? That's a great life. If you lived till 93 and you got to play Major League Baseball and you're one of the top, 10 baseball players of all time, you're doing it right. But here's a picture. You know what? Let me play this because I was going to play this on, and let's see if it comes across everything. I didn't test this to see if you can hear it, but let's hear it.
There's a long drive, way back in center field, way back, it is. Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
Willie Mays with his famous over-the-shoulder catch in Game 1 of the '54 World Series. Probably one of the best catches ever, and you can see the picture. It's he has his back to home plate. He's literally running full speed out, and he catches the ball. It was an amazing play. Probably defined his career, let's just say, in terms of plays. He was on deck when Bobby Thompson hit the homer in the Gloman, the homer that sent the Giants to the pennant over the Dodgers. If you know that play, he
You know.
he would have been the next batter up, but Bobby Thompson was also a good hitter. So there's that. Willie Mays played for many years. He played for 24 years. I want to say 24 years, but he also had military service in the 50s during the Korean War. So he would not play in the 53 season at all. But he's a lifetime 301 hitter with 660 home runs, 1,900 RBIs. He ranks on the all-time list in terms of, stolen bases, RBIs, home runs, triples. You name it. He was an incredible player. He was a 24-time All-Star, which is saying something, right? Including his last year in '73 with the New York Mets. So, yeah, he was the MVP in 1954. He hit 345 in 1954, 41 homers, 110 RBIs. In 55, he actually had a better year and finished fourth. In the ballot, he had 51 homers, 127 RBIs, and he finished further down the list. But anyway, an incredible player. So, yeah, he passed away on Tuesday at the age of 93, which, I feel like that's fair, right? I don't know what the average age is. He didn't die from cancer young. He didn't have, he led an incredible life. So, Willie Mays dead at the age of 93. So that brings us to the trivia question, by the way. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're not ready. I don't think you're ready for the trivia question. Here it is. So I have the home run leaders pulled up in Major League Baseball. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Willie Mays is sixth on the list. 660 home runs.
Okay.
What I want you to do is name as many as you can of the other top 10.
Okay.
So there's nine more guys. I want to see how many of those 9 you can name.
Ooh. Okay. Let's go with Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds is number 1, although there's an asterisk, but yes. Go ahead. 700. By the way, 762 home runs in 22 years for Barry Bonds.
Okay. Let's go with Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth is number 3.
That's actually surprising. I thought he'd be like 10.
714 home runs.
Jeez Louise.
Yep.
With a cigar hanging out of his mouth.
Right. He did it with a tubby.
Let's go with who are the 2 guys for the battle? Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa is number 9. Mark McGwire is number 11. He's not on this list, but Sammy Sosa is number 9. Yep.
Okay.
That's 3. Mm-hmm.
Let's go with oh my gosh, what is his name? He recently he was on a thing recently. Played for St. Louis.
Yes. Yeah, you got it.
The hell is his name?
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it to you though because you got the team at least. It's Albert Pujols.
God dang it, Albert.
Pujols is 4th. He's he's the last guy to eclipse 700. He has 703.
Really? He's that high too. Huh?
703. Yeah.
Let's go with.
So you got 4.
Yeah, let's go with the kid Ken Griffey.
Junior's 7. Yep, 630.
Okay. That's good. Is Jeter up there?
No.
He wasn't much of a power hitter.
Not even close. Nah, Jeter's way down there.
Who is his teammate? A-Rod.
Nope. A-Rod, yeah, 5th. A-Rod is 5th, 696.
They were teammates, right?
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah. At one point. Because A-Rod was on the Rangers before he went to the
Correct.
Yankees.
Yeah, A-Rod has 696 home runs.
Oh,
He's
close.
5th, yeah.
I'm going to start. Is Mickey Mantle up there?
That's 6, by the way. You've got 6. Mickey Mantle's 18 on this list.
Okay, I'm just going to start naming off.
Well, you should know number 2. He's the one that passed Babe Ruth, and then Barry Bonds later passed him. You should know number 2. You should know number 8 because he played during the time you would have known baseball, and then number 10 you probably don't know. So there's that. But there's
All right.
there's three more.
What team did number 8 play for?
The Cleveland Indians.
Indians. That's right around the time. Oh, what's this? He's got the weird last name.
Does he?
Well, it's like it's I don't know if it's Tome or Thome.
Tomey.
Tomey.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jim
so
Thome.
it's neither.
Yep.
Exactly.
Jim Thome has 612 home runs. Yeah, he's number 8.
Okay.
So there's 2 guys left on this list. Number 2 and number 10. You're in there. You're in the ballpark. Literally.
David Ortiz?
No. But David Ortiz is 17th, 541.
Okay.
He's ahead of Mickey Mantle, which I wouldn't have said, but okay.
He is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's go with Manny.
So Manram is also not up there. Where is Manram? He's 15th.
Oh man,
Yeah, 555.
Who's number 2?
Okay.
Who did he play for?
He played for the Milwaukee Braves and later the Atlanta Braves. He was in Atlanta at Fulton County Stadium when he broke Babe Ruth's record. When he hit 715.
Is he still alive?
I think so. I want to. No, he died in 2021.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron. There you go. You nailed it. So there you go. So there's Hank Aaron, and you got one guy left.
If he was still alive, like I don't know where my guess was gonna go.
No,
I was like,
I was close. So you got one left. Number 10 on this list. He had 586 home runs. He played for one team in his career, I think. Let me just double check. I want to say that's right. Nope, he played for multiple teams, actually. His most prominent years came as a Baltimore Oriole. But he also played for Cincinnati and Cleveland.
I have no clue.
He was a 2-time MVP. He was
wasn't
he was Rookie of the Year in 1956.
Did Cal Ripken play for?
Oh no, but he was Rookie of the Year in 1956.
Oh, 56.
Yeah, and 2-time MVP in 1960 and 1966. Sorry, he was the MVP of the American League. So
side my
right. So that is Frank Robinson.
I still don't know who that.
Okay, all right. You'll have to look it up. Frank Robinson, yeah, one of the all-time best. Frank Robinson, by the way, in his heyday, in his peak, right in 1973, he made $160,000 a year. That was his contract.
Ooh,
yeah, the guys now get paid a lot more for a lot less. So
I just pulled up the whole list. I'm kind of surprised with where some of these people are. Like Cal Ripken
it is.
He's at 50.
Well, Cal Ripken
was Jason Giambi's higher than Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken was a doubles hitter, line drive hitter, doubles hitter. You get line drive guys like Pete Rose, for example. Not a lot of home runs, but he is on the doubles list on the hits. He's the all-time hits leader, right?
Yeah.
He just hit a lot of line drives, so there's that.
Like, oh, it's so funny. You have to get down to number 54, young Carlos Stanton, before you find an active player.
Yeah, he's the current 420. He's got 420 home runs.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go. He's done it in a relatively short amount of time, but if you go by home runs per at bat, the leader is Mark McGwire. So, but of course there's an asterisk by that too. So,
well, there's an asterisk by all of these guys.
Well,
MLB's never taken
Rodriguez
time to actually care about things.
Yeah. It is.
But also, I there's the old Daniel Tosh skit. Let them steroid. Let everyone steroid.
Yeah, if everyone does it, it's
want
legal, right?
Metal bats, steroids, pine tar. I want everything. Like, let them use it all.
Right.
Who cares? Like, we're going to be seeing 120-mile-an-hour balls get crushed 600 feet. They're going to have to make the stadiums bigger. I want that.
Yeah. So the Stave & Stone trivia question. That's what we just did. Stave & Stone trivia question for the Best Time Sports Show. That anyway, answer. You got pretty good. You got some of them.
I needed some hints for.
You need some help, yeah.
I definitely didn't know Frank.
Right.
Tommy. I had an idea, but I don't know his name. Pujols was.
Yeah.
It was not coming to me.
Yeah. Sometimes they just don't. They don't happen like that.
And Hank Aaron was I needed a lot of help to get to that one. So
I
guess the other one's pretty quickly though.
You did. Let's talk about the NCAA baseball championship. The Tennessee Volunteers won their very first NCAA baseball title. beating Texas A&M 6-5 on Monday night. Tennessee is the number one team in the country, and they have been for a lot of the year. Was clearly the best team. They survived, even though they lost game one, like 9-5, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. It was 9-5. They lost game one 9-5. Texas A&M won the second game 4-1. The last game's a classic, 6-5, on Monday night. So their very first national title. Congratulations. Peyton Manning's in attendance, right? Because I wonder how many regular season games he went to. There's my question.
I'm gonna guess not many.
Not many, if any, right?
Yeah, but also those games aren't broadcasted except on SEC Network, so like you would never know.
Yeah, and that's true, and that's fair. But I'm gonna guess that he didn't go to many until they were important, right? And that's just kind of the star thing, right? They show up at these games that are, this is important now, so I need to be here and lend my support. Were you there in Game 4 when they were, losing to Santa Cruz or whoever? Probably not, but that's okay. Anyway.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It is interesting. But anyway, Tennessee Vols, congratulations on their first NCAA baseball championship. It's their first championship of any kind since, I think, 2008 when the women's track team won the NCAA title, I think. I want to say that's true. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, they haven't won a whole lot of NCAA titles recently. So, indoor track and field. It was indoor track and field in 08-09 that the women's won. That was their first one since then.
The women's basketball team won a title in 08.
Yeah. There you go. I think it was 07-08 was the women's team. So
yeah.
So anyway, just want to say congratulations. We lived in Knoxville. We know the Tennessee. I've been to that baseball field in Knoxville. Watched the Oregon State beat Tennessee twice or once, and then the other one got snowed out. You don't hear that in Knoxville very often, do you?
You do not.
I went on a Saturday and watched Oregon State beat Tennessee. I think it was 12-4 or something, like 12-5. And then the next day we watched a Sunday game, and it got snowed out. So
I had asked Cassie because I have a trip. I'm going out to Knoxville tomorrow, but I had asked Cassie, I was like, should we move the trip up a week and then when we drive back, stop at Omaha if Tennessee makes the title?
Right.
It was hard to plan around and predict though.
Sure, yeah. I guess that would be.
I want one of those black jerseys though.
The black is nice, right? It looks really good.
Slick.
Well, and the black with the orange on it. I mean, the orange is bright and it pops. That's a nice uniform. And the UT hat, I like it. That's a good uniform. Let's congratulate the Florida Panthers for winning their first Stanley Cup title in dramatic fashion, right? Florida wins game 1, 2, and 3. 3-0, 4-1, 4-3. 3-0 lead, right? No one's ever come back from a 3-0 lead to win a Stanley Cup final, right? And then Edmonton beats Florida 8-1 in game 4. 5-3, 5-1. They scored 18 goals in 3 games, right? And looked like they're on fire. And then somehow or other Bobrovsky in game 7 finds a way to shut him down to 1 goal. And he doesn't win the Conn Smythe Trophy, by the way, and that went to oh, now I'm gonna lose it. It's not Draisaitl, the other one, Connor McDavid. Yeah. He deserved it. Yeah.
Fine.
But people, I mean, there's some uproar about it because he's on the losing team. But yeah, Connor McDavid was really good. But they win it 2-1 on Monday night also to win their first ever Stanley Cup championship. It was a good series. It was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Edmonton come back. And then you just didn't know at that point in time what was going to happen in Game 7, right? Because you guys won the first 3. We won the last 3, but we won the last 3 handily, right? Edmonton felt like they were just on fire, like there was no way. And they found a way. I mean, Florida found a way. So that was kind of cool. Florida's been around. How long has Florida been around?
The Panthers?
Yeah. When was their first? I feel like I read this and then I didn't read it. I read it somewhere along the line. It was their first?
1998 was when they moved into their current stadium. It looks like 93.
Yeah, there you go. So it's been a while. I mean, that's hard for me to believe that that's been 30 years. But okay. That's how you know you're old, when things start sounding like that. That shouldn't be 30 years ago. It was. So, yeah. Congratulations, Florida Panthers. Did you watch Game 7?
I watched the last 15 minutes because I was watching Tennessee
Right.
up until that point.
There
So
were other things on TV. That was the problem, is I was watching soccer too,
yeah,
right? Um, so there's a lot of things going on. It was kind of hard to watch. There's so much happening. And right now, when you say, okay, well, the NBA's over, right? The Celtics win their whatever champion 18th, is that right? 18th championship, whatever it is.
so,
Great. But and then the NHL had this one last game, but okay, the NCAA game went to series went to 3 games. Okay, we also got women's basketball. We've got Euro 2024. You got Copa America. There were so many things on TV, and soccer has been on nonstop for the last however long, and it's crazy. So it's still on TV downstairs, I think. Argentina's playing somebody. Um, anyway, it's there's been a lot of things to watch, and you can't hardly watch it all. And so my Jeopardy gets put on the back burner, right? I don't even watch my Jeopardy shows because I've been watching all this soccer and whatnot. Um, and I'm a Jeopardy fan, so there's that. Anyway, just saying. What is it? What would is there a show out there that you watch that you would go, okay, I'm not watching sports because this is on?
no.
Okay, all right.
And
That's
the
fair.
reason being is because you can always watch that stuff later. Like you can watch sports later. You can record it and then
Yeah.
rewatch it later. I don't ever do that. But every TV show that comes out is streamable later.
It's true.
So I just stream it later
I-
usually.
I record the sports events and I watch those later.
I see.
But-
I can't. I don't. I will hear what the score is,
Yeah.
and once I hear what the score is, I won't watch it.
I at least want to watch the highlights, right? I mean,
I'll do that. I do that all the time.
I record the Formula One, like for example, every week that it's on. I record it, and I record practice and qualifying and all that stuff, so that I can watch it when I want to watch it. And yeah, it's hard to stay away from the updates, so you know to know who did what. But I can't. I don't always want to watch it, or I'm not home at 6 a.m. or whatever, European time. So anyway, there's that.
Formula One's the only thing that is like the only sport that I watch later. It's like the Spanish Grand Prix, which we're going to talk about. I watched it at 9 o'clock when I woke up. So it was earlier.
So speaking of Formula One, they were in Spain this last weekend, and Lando Norris had the pole, right? Qualified first by 2/100ths of a second. It was tight, but he had the pole position, and Max Verstappen second, right? Those two are. It's becoming a battle. Lando's not quite there, but it's close, right?
Yeah.
And so then what happens? Did you watch lap one, and all of a sudden George Russell's in the lead, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm sitting here, I'm working, and I watched it back again. It was after it happens, and yeah, they start off, and then Lando immediately starts going into defense mode,
Right?
and pushing to the inside there, and I was like, I'm literally sitting here thinking like, hey, somebody's gonna jump on the outside of this whole thing, and sure enough, there he goes.
George Russell. I mean, he literally sprinted around both of them and took the lead. But and there's a good picture of it right there. Lap 3 comes around. By the time lap 3 happened, Max passes Russell and the race is over. I mean, it was close. There was a lot of things. I mean, he only won by 2 seconds. It's not like he won by a freaking ton, but it still was one of those races where you go, okay, Max in the lead. There's really nothing to watch, but second, third, fourth, right? That's what you're watching for now.
Yeah, which is always.
Yeah. I mean, it was just interesting. It was interesting to see also that both the Alpine cars were in the points, so they were way up there. You know what I mean? That was interesting. That was the first time I'd seen those cars perform that well. I don't know if they got updates or what happened, but both of the Aston Martin cars fell back.
Yeah, Aston Martin's in a slide right now.
Yeah, for sure.
They're having trouble figuring out what they need to do. Like I'd say that Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez have taken the two biggest steps back this season.
Oh, for sure.
From where they were performing at last year.
So Max wins it. Lando, Lewis, and George are your 2, 3, 4. All the British drivers, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. But it's the gap is closing. There's no doubt. When George Russell took the lead on lap 3 or on lap 1, and then you saw the pass from Verstappen. You knew it was coming. He can't hold him off. They don't.
DRS is a killer.
The Mercedes doesn't have that same speed that the Red Bull has. I think the McLaren might have it. I'm not 100.
Well, I think so because they well, what race was it recently where he caught up to him? Canadian.
Yeah.
Caught up to him at the end, and
Yeah.
he was pushing him, and it was like, man, he's got the pace if he wants to find it, if he doesn't make mistakes. I just think that Max Verstappen makes no mistakes,
right,
and has a fantastic car. Lando Norris now has a fantastic car, but he's still making some mistakes here and there.
Yeah, and you had
still getting little slides, little whatever,
You had Leclerc and Sainz finishing 5-6 for Ferrari. Oscar Piastri didn't have a great race, finishing 7th for McLaren, and then Sergio Perez, who I think has forgotten how to drive, or they've done something to his car. I don't know, but he's in.
Well, they just re-signed him to a big contract.
That's
so.
weird, right? And he's 8th, and then of course both the Alpines 9 and 10 for the last point spots. Nico Hülkenberg 11th, which is it's good for Haas, but they didn't get any points out of it.
Nico Hülkenberg, man, he's a troublemaker.
I don't know if troublemaker is the way I would phrase it, but okay, he has been putting a lot
always causing problems.
He has been having some issues lately. He's been getting a lot of penalties, which is interesting, right? And it makes me.
Didn't he get a penalty this race?
Yeah, he did. And I wonder if he's doing. My thought originally was maybe he's doing it to get off the team.
Oh yeah, maybe they'll.
So he'll find somewhere else to go, right? But I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. So your overall standings: Verstappen 219 points, Lando Norris 150, Charles Leclerc 148. So Norris vaults into second place. And then you have Sainz and Perez kind of close to each other for 4th, 5th, and you have Piastri and Russell kind of close to each other for 6th, 7th. That's what you got. And to be honest with you, the Mercedes have pulled a lot more points in the last 3 races. And the Ferraris not scoring in Canada was a huge loss, right? But they only got 10 and 8 in this race. They weren't exactly huge scores, and Mercedes has been catching up slowly. As a team, Red Bull with 330 points, Ferrari 270, McLaren 237. Mercedes still only has 151 points. They're way down there in 4th place, but they're kind of creeping up on teams, and Ferrari's falling back to the pack. Red Bull's still going to win it, just on Max.
Yeah, they don't need anybody else.
They don't need anybody else.
I mean, I think the points distribution needs to change. Like, I'm okay with a point for fastest lap, but why is it not 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Why is it 25?
You get more
and then
points.
23.
Yeah. Bigger gap.
Like what? Right, you're trying to. Yeah. But it's a way. If you win 3 races, at 10 points each, right? You have 30. If you are in second place for 3 races in a row, that person is still very catchable.
Maybe with
when they do it this way, you end up after 5, 6 races of somebody being really good, you end up with a massive points disparity that's hard to come back from.
Maybe they need to do it more like golf and have like major races. These are major races, and they're worth 25 points, but the minor races are 10 points, right? But
I want people to still be within striking distance.
Yeah, it's hard. Well,
the fact that Max could just take the next 2 weeks off and still keep the lead is crazy. He could not race, and still keep the lead.
Right.
That to me is nuts. Like where's the competitiveness there from a league standpoint?
But we are about to hit the really good races. So we're headed to Red Bull Ring for Austria next race. Then it's Silverstone, Hungary, and then Spa, right? Yeah. And then Zandvoort. Those, and then Monza, right? So those that group of races before we hit Azerbaijan, Singapore, Mexico, Brazil, blah blah, USA. Anyway, those races aren't nearly as good, but this stretch of European races is really, really good. Those are like the best tracks. And so it's going to be exciting, but I don't know. I feel like Max has won 8 races this year, 8 out of 10. He didn't finish in Australia. He finished, I don't know, what is that, 6th in Monaco, something like that. So he's been good. He's just not as good as he was last year at this point. But it is kind of frustrating to watch. I would like there to be more competition at this point. We're halfway through the season, and I want it to be a little closer. Yeah, you're right. So
but I mean, Yeah, I will say it's better than it was last year. We're seeing more interesting races. We're seeing more tight finishes and things like that. And I don't walk away from these going, "Oh, that was boring." I'm walking
Right.
away going, "All right, all right."
Yeah, they're
There was some
better.
good racing.
Yeah.
The last couple of races have been fun to watch,
Right.
even if Max Verstappen is still winning them.
And probably even the last 3, considering Monaco, right? But you knew Norris you knew Leclerc once he got ahead. It was the winner is the guy that's in front. But
Yeah,
still, it was exciting that Max isn't winning, right? So
yeah.
there's that.
I hate the people who will sit here and be like, everyone will say, "Oh, this is boring," and we'll say, "Well, Lewis did it for years." Like,
He did.
okay,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make it not boring. It was boring when Lewis did it,
It was
too,
boring
and now
when
it's
Lewis did it.
boring that Max is doing it.
It is. It is boring. You have to do what I do, which is when you watch the race, pick a guy, right, to root for. That isn't Max, right? I mean, you got to pick another guy. I'm going to root for Oscar Piastri today, right? Or I'm going to root for Yuki Tsunoda today, right? You got to pick a guy, and hope that it happens. Don't pick Logan Sargent. Don't do that.
Don't pick Logan Sargent.
Or Valtteri Bottas at this point. Joe Guan Yu. Sauber.
Of the Logan Sargent wins, they were doing like testing the boards at the Spanish Grand Prix, and so they tested one for each person, and so they tested one that said Logan Sargent first place, and somebody took a picture of it and said we can all dream.
Yeah. Sauber, by the way, is the only team in Formula One that doesn't have any points. So Joe and Valtteri are not handling their thing, but
Valtteri never should have left Mercedes.
Well, I wonder if that was a dollar thing. That was a money thing, right?
Sure. It's not like he wasn't making good
money. No. And I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that Mercedes wanted to continue to pay him that money.
Oh, you think Mercedes was
I think Mercedes said, we can find another guy who'll do it for less. George Russell will do it for less. And now that George Russell's better than Lewis Hamilton, he's the number one guy. And he won't be doing it for less. But he's still less than combined salary. Probably they're paying George and Lewis less than they paid Lewis and Valtteri. That's my guess.
Here's what I'm saying. Next year, Lewis is going to go to
Ferrari. Yeah.
My guess is that Sainz is going to come race with Russell.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the word out is that Williams, this is going to sound funny, but Williams might get Carlos Sainz if they pay enough money. Now, the problem is, if you were Carlos Sainz, would you want to go race with Williams? Because Logan Sargent's seat's going to come available, right?
At some point, yeah,
definitely. It's definitely open. I don't know. I don't know if that's the thing you want to do.
Also, Audi's team is next year, I think?
Audi is, yeah. So Audi's team is...
They're taking over...
It's not Alpine. It's Alpine, isn't it?
Is it Alpine?
I don't know. Shit, I don't remember. I can't remember. I can't tell you. But yeah, it's one of those teams.
Oh, the Stake F1 team, which will become Audi from 2026. Oh, okay. So it is. It's the Stake team right now.
That's
Valtteri's team.
Valtteri and Joe Guan Yu.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about. Is that right? Is that where I'm at? I'm on the wrong page, I think. There. No, that's right. Let's talk about the NBA for just a minute. Okay. This is gonna be a relatively short episode, but that's okay. Let's talk about the NBA for a minute. I have questions. Here's what I got. JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Got hired as the Lakers head coach with literally no NBA head coaching experience. Why?
Because he's one of the smartest basketball minds that there is.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay if that's the answer. But it you know what it feels like, right? To me. This is what it feels like to me. It feels like the Lakers could have had any coach probably, right? That's a premier job, the Lakers job, even though they're not,
I think that's the problem. They couldn't have anybody.
Oh, I think they could have. I think anybody would want to coach the Lakers. I do. I still think that's a thing. I still think people want to coach the Lakers. Maybe it's a problem with LeBron and Anthony Davis and all that stuff, but that's going to change here in a couple of years. That's going to go away, right? It has to, because they're not being successful with them. So that's going to change. But anyway,
they're also in their 40s. So.
Yeah, right. I feel like JJ Redick was one of those hires where they said, if we hire you, you have to let LeBron be the coach. This is what I feel just happened. And I'm not 100%. I'm just spitballing and throwing that out there because JJ is going to take his orders from LeBron, right? And then it becomes hey, we're thinking about drafting Bronny because that's the rumor, right? That they're going to play together.
There's like 6 teams that are rumored to draft Bronny.
Why? Why would you take Bronny? He didn't do anything in college. Why is he worth a pro slot?
I hear what you're saying. It's the chance to lure LeBron to him. That's why you're taking Bronny.
A 40-year-old LeBron.
A 41-year-old LeBron is better than 98% of the league.
But hold on.
At 41.
Okay.
So you're willing to take this guy who's a project.
Yep.
Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. I don't think he will be. But if you can draw LeBron.
If I draw LeBron to my team and I draft Bronny and he takes a roster spot from someone who can actually play basketball, how am I helped?
Who gives a shit about
if it's about selling tickets?
About the 15th guy,
but you want to win.
Bench.
But you're going to have to play him. If you don't play him, he's not worth anything to you. You have to play him alongside LeBron, or the deal is nothing.
That's not entirely true.
Oh, so just having him on the bench, it's going to be worth it. People are going to buy tickets to watch him sit on the bench with his dad. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying. You're going to buy tickets for the potential to see him, and you're going to sell through your season ticket allotment. And then when your team is successful,
1 year,
even with him on the bench,
you're going to get 1 year's worth. Yeah.
Literally, if your team is successful with him at the end of the bench, those season ticket people will renew to keep watching a successful team, irrelevant of where Bronny sits on it. A great example here is Jordan Walsh was picked up by the Celtics last year. How many minutes did he play?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I would
not many.
I'd take him over Bronny.
I completely freaking agree. That's not the point.
Okay.
The point is that you can stash someone at the 15th spot on the bench and not worry about their minutes or how much they cost, because they don't cost that much on their rookie contract. So it's not the end of the world. Just get him, like the 76ers are one of the teams that are out there that are rumored. Get him, get LeBron. Now you have LeBron and Embiid and Maxey, and you got a whole thing going on up there, and that becomes a real powerhouse in a dog shit East.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
That's all you got to do is that. Now, I think where it becomes a problem is a team like Charlotte. Charlotte would be a team that is in a position to draft him, but they don't need him, and I don't think LeBron will go there. That's the issue. The team that LeBron's going to leave the Lakers for to come to will be a big team. New York, Boston, Philly. He wants to go to a name more
Understood.
Than likely. So I think that's where the issue is going to be, is if he gets picked up by one of these teams that's smaller. But that's also nothing. He might get picked up and dealt.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's
take him number 1 overall and then trade him for somebody else's superstar.
If they'll do that,
because they think they can get Bron.
Well, and that may be, maybe he's that kind of commodity. I feel like, having watched him play in college, knowing what his stats are, he's not NBA material. He's not ready to play NBA basketball, but he's going to, because of his ability.
My problem is I don't know that. I've been so wrong about so many people.
That's true, and he might.
There are so many people that walk to the league and you go, man, this guy's going to tear it up, and then they do nothing.
It's
or there
true.
are people that come to the league and you're like, who the hell is Derek White?
But he's good.
He's got a ring, and now he's a lockdown defender. He was on a not great Colorado team. So clearly, being excellent in college doesn't always mean being excellent in the NBA.
It doesn't.
Sometimes being okay in college doesn't mean anything for the NBA. It's very strange. What we do know is he's tied to LeBron, and if there's a 40% chance you can swing LeBron to your team, it might be worth it, or it might be worth it to pick him up. So again, Charlotte picks him up and then trades him to the Celtics
it's
for
possible.
Jaylen Brown. Now you get a superstar out of it, and the Celtics get the chance to get LeBron on their team. And that's where you kind of move it. But really, his value is intrinsically tied to his father.
Absolutely. There's
but it's important.
He has no value of his own, is what I'm saying. He has a value because of his dad.
He has a little bit. He's not the worst basketball player. I mean, his combine stuff where he was actually playing in scrimmages against better people, like not just like he's not playing against Cal and things like that. He had a really strong combine playing wise, not just like metrics wise.
Right.
He's a little undersized. I think that's going to be a big deal for him. But I think that with the right training, Peyton Pritchard is in the league.
Yeah.
He is not the world's greatest athlete.
No.
I would without a doubt take Bronny over Pritchard in terms of pure athleticism. Now, as a shooter, that's a different story.
Right.
But I mean, that's what I mean is like it doesn't always mean much to be an athlete. You don't have to be the most, blow your socks off metrics as long as you're doing something well. And he shoots pretty well.
But
Not great.
now he also has an NBA title. Peyton Pritchard.
Well, Peyton Pritchard does, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that, which is worth a lot of money. It's worth a lot of contract money.
It's not worth as much money as you. Not for a person in his role.
I think that I think it boils down to when you're part of a championship roster, people look at that and go, okay, I can use this guy as a team builder, right? He knows how to win. The team wins, right? Whether he's not superstars. Superstars are different. Superstars are the guys you get to fill seats because when they come out and play, everyone's going to buy a ticket no matter whether you win or lose, right? There's only probably 15 of those in the league. 20?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 20, maybe. There's not even one per team because who's the Blazers, right?
Well, the Blazers barely have starters, let alone bench players.
Right. Yeah, the Blazers don't have that guy. They don't have a guy. They did, and they got rid of him. So they don't have that guy. There's very few teams that have that guy. Steph Curry is that guy. LeBron James is that guy. You have a few of them. But for the most part, you're out there trying to get players to complement the guy you have, right?
Right.
And Peyton Pritchard is one of those guys. He can complement the guy you have. He plays a specific role. He has a specific job. He's not, you're not asking him to win the game for you. You're asking him to come in and play minutes, play defense, hit a 3-pointer or two. That's what you want him to do. And and now that you have a championship ring, what I'm saying is that becomes harder to pull him away from the Celtics. You know what I mean? You're going to have to pay more money to lure him to somewhere else. But it's not a ton. I'm not saying he's like worth twice as much. He's just, there's more money out there for him.
The problem is for a person like him, right, is that, yes, if you want to take him right now from the Celtics, you have to pay him something.
Right.
But at some point, he's going to come up for a contract renegotiation.
True.
And if he wants to stay on the Celtics, he can't ask for a lot because of his role.
Maybe.
The way it's built, the way it's structured. So his only value is in leaving to somebody who's delusional enough to pay him.
Okay.
If he stays, he'll get a bump. But you got Jaylen Brown making $30 million, Jason Tatum making $40 million. You're going to have to pay your starters who have contracts coming up before you pay your seventh man.
Which brings us to what I was going to ask. Questions that I have a lot of questions. This is okay. So there's a picture up on the screen now of the NBA salary cap. Why do we have a salary cap if it's not the cap? That's my very first question. We have a cap. This is all you can pay them. But that's not all you can pay them. If you pay more than that, you can pay up to this amount, and you'll have to pay an extra fee. But then you can also pay up to a different amount, and then we'll kick in some other restrictions. And then, you know what? Let's put in a third amount. And then, of course, there's a maximum team salary, but that only applies to some of the salary that you have, not all of the salary, because there's dead salary. There's all this stuff, and I get it. It's just weird to me. Why, if you're gonna have a cap, let's make it a cap. Why is it not a hard cap?
That has a hard cap.
No. I mean, you can go over every cap, but there are penalties. There are penalties involved, and some are stiffer than others.
They're all financial, which you're already taking a hit on anyways because you're going over the cap.
Well, the NFL can fine you draft picks and things.
So can the NBA. The NBA does it too.
So there are some penalties if you have issues. But this whole first apron, second apron thing that's about to happen in the second for the next year, I don't even understand. I'm like, okay, in the first apron, then you can't have the mid-level exception. You can't have this and you can't have that. Oh my God. And then if you're in the second level, then it becomes another heavy dose of you can't do this, and you can't trade anybody for cash, and you can't. Okay. And I understand it, but why not just have a salary cap? Why don't we get rid of the luxury tax, the first apron, and the second apron, and just say, hey, this is the level, no more. And if you can't go over it, if you're over it, you have to be under it by this time, or you forfeit a game by the start of the season, or you forfeit. And that just make it easy. But we don't do that, and I don't understand why they don't do that. So that to me is confusing. I read about it today a whole bunch about cap and the luxury tax on the first apron, the second apron. And it just doesn't make any sense. We just keep adding exceptions. Well, we'll just stretch it out. And next year it'll be it's 10% more. Well, if you just keep raising it, no one's ever going to stay under the cap. You know what I mean? Because there's no advantage in it if the penalty is $5 million to be over the salary cap to pay a luxury tax, right? If the penalty is $5 million and we win the NBA title, it's worth it. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
it's well worth it.
That's what the Warriors did for 5 years.
Yeah. So there's no point in staying under. But if you make it a hard cap, then we've got a thing, right? Then everyone has to be within the same ballpark, and you can't just load up on players. Oh, you know what? We're going to be in the playoffs maybe this year. We're going to playoff run. We're having a little downtime. Well, let's make a trade for this guy. Even though it'll put us over the cap, we'll have to pay a luxury tax, or it'll put us in the first apron. It's fine. We'll win a championship this year. It'll all pay for itself.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Why don't we?
I agree. Every sport should have a hard salary cap.
Yeah.
Baseball needs to have a salary cap at all.
Yeah.
It's just simple. If you're over the cap, you're ineligible for postseason play.
That
Get
could
under
be
the cap by
right.
the postseason.
Right.
I don't care if you're over the cap by $50 million through the entire year. You'll be penalized for that financially. But as soon as the postseason comes, you need to be under the cap. And if you're under the cap as soon as the postseason starts, you're good to play. If you're not, you sit.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting to see too, because you know what's going to happen is people start dumping players, right?
Well, yeah, you get close to the end of the season, you realize, hey, I got 2-3 guys who aren't contributors. I've got a Brawny at the end of my bench eating $8 million a year. I don't need him. I need to find $20 million, and so I'm going to drop him. Right. And then you'll play with 13, 12 people or whatever it is. You'll cut like 3 or 4 people from the end of your bench. Yeah. But that's fine, because then those are players that can go somewhere else.
Okay.
Those are players that can potentially get time in other places. Or God forbid you're in a position like some of these teams, you'd have to find $30 million, which means you probably have to drop a bunch of people and you're playing with 8 or 9, or you have to drop a superstar or a third or fourth guy type of person, you know.
Sure. Yeah. It's confusing to me. That's all. Why we make so many complex and complicated rules, part of the collective bargaining agreement, and it just doesn't make any sense when you could get rid of all that legal speak and just go boom, here it is, instead of having a first apron and a second apron. Let's say the salary cap is 175. Well, this year, $180 million. Hard cap. That's it. Right. And then make penalties, severe penalties if you go over, not a penalty like, oh, well, we're gonna fine you $6. Whatever. Make it a severe penalty. Anyway, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it'll ever happen.
This year, I mean, this past season, the 23-24 season, the Warriors were $88 million over. The Clippers were $66 million over. Minnesota was $62 million. Phoenix is $59. Who are you cutting to get underneath the cap? Because to cover $88 million,
that's a lot of money.
Like, yeah, you're playing with 5.
Right.
Because I'm looking at their salaries right now, and yeah, I mean, they pay Steph Curry a lot, and yes, they pay Draymond a lot of money. Steph makes 51, Clay makes 43, Chris Paul made 30. There's your cut.
Right.
He was all hurt all the end of the back season. That's fine. Andrew Wiggins makes 24. You know, but once you get to the 6th guy on their roster, Gary Payton, he makes 8.7.
Yeah.
So to cover $80 million, you'd have to cut Gary, Kevon Looney, Kuminga, Moses Moody, Podzimski, Saric, Davis, Santos. You'd have to cut everybody. You would be playing with 5.
Right.
And then you might still be over a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I think that's smart. Pushing towards the end of the season, you have a free agent period when these cuts happen, and people can grab people. Trying to make a playoff push, and you've got cap space. Well, hey, I heard that the Warriors just cut Clay because they're trying to get into the playoffs.
Right.
And you've got $30 million in thing. Maybe Clay wants to cut a deal with you, but the problem is players. Players want too much money. Contracts are becoming harder and harder to break, and you have to pay them and you have to sign them. So you can't just cut a player because they're over the salary cap when they have a contract with you. Like, you can't just you can't make that mistake and make me pay for it. You're still on the hook for that money.
Right.
So that's kind of the issue with it, is the players are the problem with this, not the league so much. That the players need a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah. So here's we've talked about everything that I was probably going to talk about. Let me just say a couple other things because we've got a couple of minutes here. So the Kansas governor, did you hear about this? The Kansas governor signed an offer. Um, signs not how do I explain it? Signs legislation on Friday, enabling the state to help lure the Kansas City Chiefs and the Royals away from Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
Basically, help them with their ability to build stadiums for these teams because they know that those two teams are coming up on stadium renegotiations.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to lure them away. Is this the only city that's doing that, or is this a common thing? I mean, I feel like there's other cities that are try to lure somebody away, but they're not like next door. I mean,
I was gonna say there's no teams that are on a border
right.
like that.
I mean, well, there are. I mean, the New York Giants and Jets play in New Jersey, right? So there's that.
but they play there. They're just.
How come they're not the New Jersey Giants?
I don't know.
That's my question, right? Why aren't you the New Jersey Giants?
But New York isn't trying to lure them back into the city because there's nowhere to put them.
There's nowhere to put them.
That's
correct.
why they're in New Jersey to begin with.
And correct. But
there's
that football stadium's
plenty of
better.
space in both Kansas cities.
Agreed. And as long as they keep the New York name, they don't care. But I bet you if those teams decided they wanted to change to New Jersey, there'd be a fight.
You
can't be the New York Giants.
If they are
better.
New Jersey.
Oh, I don't know. Where their team's corporate headquarters are, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting to watch, and I watch the legal and political wrangling of these things because it's just like, really? Or you think you're going to get them from Kansas City, Missouri to come to Kansas City, Kansas? You don't have a stadium. You'd have to build one. But they've made it easier for them to build one with more support and offering financial support to build a stadium. Okay. It's just weird, right? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I found that one to be strange. And then, so the New York Liberty just lost to who did they lose to? I was just looking at it, and I just lost. So Liberty lost to the Lynx, 94-89, and Liberty were in first place in the WNBA, but the Lynx are now 14-3, and the Liberty is now 15-4, I think, or maybe that's the current standing. I don't know. Anyway, so they're very close. They're right up there. There's three teams that are battling for the top. Those two, the Lynx, the Liberty, and the Connecticut Sun, are all kind of around the same thing. What happened to the Aces that are now 8-6 is the question. And here's another question: the Indiana Fever, who picked up Caitlin Clark, right, are 7-11 after 18 games. You know what they were last year after 18 games?
What?
6-12. So
they got better.
Yes, they got better. They did one game better.
I mean, it's a process, right?
I guess.
In theory.
But she is filling stadiums. She is absolutely doing exactly what the WNBA needs her to do, which is sell tickets. The team may not be great, but she's selling tickets, and they're just a half game out of the last playoff spot right now. But
I just watched that Fever Sky game the other day.
Yeah.
While working. Her teammates are doing her zero favors.
Zero. She's getting
she
zero
had
help.
three like down court passes that were beautiful, half court style passes.
Yeah.
That would just go off of a player's hands and straight out of bounds.
Yeah, zero. She's getting zero.
And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, she is. I know. I'm saying the same thing. She's literally getting zero help in that thing. United States played their first soccer game in Copa America, winning 2-0 over Bolivia. And Christian Pulisic scored a goal in the 3rd minute, which is like crazy. They wanted to come out good. They scored another one just before the half and led 2-0. This is if you watched it, I watched it. I don't know if you watched it, but they did not live up to my expectation. Bolivia is the 84th ranked team in the world. The United States is 11. Bolivia is the lowest ranked team in Copa America. And the United States still struggled to score. They gave away some bad passes. They made some terrible mistakes during the middle of the game that against a team like Bolivia didn't kill them, but against a team like Argentina, you're definitely going to die. There's no way. And so they don't look like that team yet. It was the first game in the group, so I don't know how it's going to play out. They play Panama on Thursday at 3:00 p.m. in the afternoon, which sucks, on Fox. So that's game 2 of their group. These are games they need to win. They are the number 1 ranked team in their group. Panama's like 40, and I think Uruguay is the other one. They're in the 40s too, or 50. So they should have a chance to do that, to win the group and move forward. I don't know how far they can go. They always disappoint me every year in every World Cup, and it's just like they don't look like, when I watch them, the teams that I watch in European soccer. They make stupid mistakes. They want to do too much. It's like there's guys out there trying to be superstars and trying to make a crazy good catch and pass, and let me redirect this, and with one foot or one touch. You don't need to do that. Just control the ball and score goals. That's all you got to do. And they sometimes just can't do that. So anyway, that's get frustrating. But they did win 2-0. They are on top of the group. They do play Panama on Thursday. Panama's a team they struggled with in World Cup qualifying. We'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping for the best. So I watch soccer a lot. So, and by the way, the Mets are up 3-0 on the Yankees, bottom of the second, on TBS. By the way, if you're watching, just saying.
Mid-season baseball, no one's watching.
The Mets are almost 500. Almost. We're almost nearing the halfway point, really. So the Mets have played 77 games. So in another 4 games, they will have played halfway through the season. So, by the way, that was apparently a delay. I don't know what happened. That score was from earlier, but the Mets won 9-7. So
well, there you go.
They beat the Yankees 9-7. So Subway Series on its way, as Mark Vientos 2 solo homers for the Mets. Anyway, it's good. I like that. I love that the Mets and the Yankees play. I think there should be more of that every year. I think that MLB has moved towards the interleague play and the rivalry stuff. So you got the Angels, Dodgers, and you've got the Cubs, White Sox, which no one cares about. But I like that. I think that's great. I think that has been a good thing. I don't like the fact that we have a designated hitter all the way around. I think that designated hitters should be outlawed, but hey, whatever. So we'll talk about baseball later.
I don't have enough opinions about designated hitters, and
I do.
I like the rivalries, but
I do.
They do them every year.
And now it's a kind of common thing, and it's less attractive, less unique, right? I mean, when you say, "Oh, the Yankees and Mets are playing this year," they play every year. It's not a big deal. They play both places. They play once in Yankee Stadium. They play once in Citi Field. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I like it.
Are you trying to say there was a time when they didn't play each other much?
No, they didn't play at all. There was no interleague play. I don't know when that started, but there was. Okay, let me read it for you here. When did interleague play start? So 1997.
Oh, okay.
Was the first year of interleague play.
For almost 30 years now, they've been playing each other.
Well, right, but for 100 years before that, there was no.
Yeah, that's fine. The majority of
the majority of what you know is they've been playing interleague play. What I'm saying is, so baseball used to be way different. I mean, it used to be, so you had a National League and an American League, right? And the teams played each other solely, right? There was
you wouldn't play another team until you got to the World Series.
And there was no division play. It was just National League, American League. The winner of the National League played the winner of the American League, World Series. Okay, great. And then they said, okay, we're going to split into 2 divisions. There's a West and an East. Yeah. And still they didn't play each other. There was no interleague play. But you had a division championship series, best 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5, I think is what it was when it started, 3 out of 5. And then you had that was your league championship series. Like, that was it. And then you played the World Series. And then it became, oh, well, we need to make that 4 out of 7. Oh, you know what? We need to add a wild card. Oh, you know what? Let's add a 3rd division. And it just keeps getting more and more drawn out because they want more games on TV in the playoffs, and I understand why they do it. It just doesn't make better baseball necessarily. It just makes the games you play during the season less important. You can get into the playoffs with 84 wins. Okay, well you're 84 and 78. That's wow, what a great season. Really? But you can win the World Series still. That's not fair. That's not fair to a team that went 112 games. That's not at all. Because you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't even be in there.
But couldn't win their division because they weren't even the best team in their division.
Well, maybe, but I mean, if you win,
Like,
if you win 112
like
games, you're gonna win the division.
It's not like they sprung this rule on people and then just screwed some 112 win team on the fly. At the beginning of the season, you know what you have to do, and you have to win your division or be, or have enough wins to start pulling into the wild card mix. But you know what you have to do, so you're not getting hosed if you don't accomplish your goals.
Well, but you can win what I'm saying is you can win your division.
Right. With if you have a terrible division, you can win with nothing. Yes. We've
No.
seen
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. You can win your division with 162-0. You can be 162-0. No one's ever done that, and it's not going to happen. But you could be 162-0 and win your division, and then you got to play some team that won 84 games in the playoffs, and they get one guy who's pitching hot all of a sudden, and you lose. That's it. Done. Sorry. That's not fair to that team that spent all year winning twice as many games as you. That's not okay.
It's because the wild card's only one game.
The wild card playoff, the way they have it now, is you have a 1-game playoff between 2 wild card teams, right, to get to the playoffs. But there are other wild card teams. There's like 2 wild card teams. So you have three champions and 2 wild card teams. Is that right? So you have 3 division champions, 2 wild card teams. The 2 wild card teams play off for the winner gets into the playoffs.
Right.
Okay. The winner of that game will play the number 1 team, right? Yeah. And so, but what I'm saying is a team that wins 84 games shouldn't even be in the playoffs. You shouldn't be allowed. Why are a team that goes 35-47 in the NBA in the playoffs? Why is that allowed? Why would you even let them in? You have to have a certain level of play before we should let you in because you aren't playoff worthy. And the Major League Baseball just watered it down more and more and more, and they keep doing it. And so now teams don't, the regular season games don't mean anything. You don't have to win all those games. You don't have to win any of those games. You have to win just enough to get in, and then you have to be good. After that, it doesn't matter. That's the way with any playoff system. I get it, but if you penalize those teams and keep them out, then just the teams that were good during the regular season get in. That's what you want. You want those best teams in there. You don't want to see the crappy teams get in and get lucky and win a series somehow because it's 2 out of 3 or it's whatever it is.
I think so. I'm looking at last year's standings, regular season standings.
Okay.
Right? I'm looking at where it ended. You had your division winners in Baltimore, Minnesota, Houston, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Dodgers. They all won their divisions straight out. But
right.
Minnesota won with 87 wins.
They did.
They won a terrible division.
Terrible division.
87. So I start looking across the AL, and I'm like, okay, who should have gotten in over them? There's only one team. That's the Seattle Mariners, who had 88 wins.
Yeah.
One more win. And so I'm wondering if that's how this is going to happen most of the time. It's not that a 70-win team is boxing out a 100-win team. More often than not, it's going to be like an 85-win team is going to box out a 90-win team.
Well,
like that's how it's more going to shape up than the other way. Like I don't see here, even in the NL, Milwaukee was the lowest of the division winners at 92, but everybody, Phillies had 90, they got in. Diamondbacks had 84. They got in, but right. Marlins got in at 84 also,
right,
into the wild card. So nobody in the NL got boxed out who had a better record than somebody else. So at least within the 1 year that we're talking about, just last year, it wasn't a problem.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if that's how it tends to look more years, because I'm trying to see if there's like a season where somebody had like 90 wins and didn't get in.
Well,
Milwaukee had 86 wins 1 year and didn't get in.
It's not that they're not going to get in because the level is what it is. What I'm saying is it's not fair. Let's use you want to use last year as an example. Let's use last year as an example. In 2023, the team with the best record in baseball was the Atlanta Braves, 104-58. Right. And what happened was you had the Marlins and the Diamondbacks tied at 84-78, right?
Yep.
But you also had the Phillies, who were the other wild card team, 90 wins, right? 90 wins is a respectable amount. I'm okay with 90 wins. The Brewers won 92, right? The Dodgers won 100. So those teams are in. But you have the Diamondbacks and Marlins playing each other for a spot to play the Phillies, basically, right? To get in. And so what I'm saying is you have one of those Marlins or Diamondbacks teams, right, who gets lucky and now gets a chance to beat the best team in baseball, right off the bat, even though they didn't do anything all year. They may have gotten hot the last 2 weeks of the season or 3 weeks and made the playoffs, and now they're playing great baseball. It's great, but it cheapens the games that happened earlier in the year. It's not. It lessens the whole season. The whole
But by
season
the time that the Diamondbacks or the Marlins would have got to Miami or to Atlanta, they would have had to play a full series, right?
I don't know exactly.
Because it would have
see
been the
playoff.
Diamondbacks and the Marlins playing to play Philly, and then the winner of that plays Atlanta.
But they wouldn't have played a whole. They wouldn't have played a whole series.
Well, no, the Diamondbacks and the Marlins would not have, and then the Phillies and the winner of Diamondbacks and the Marlins would not have. But the team, that dog shit team that makes it to the best team, now has to play the best team for 7 games. And the question is, has there been a lot of upsets in those games?
I don't know.
Also, we're talking about a separation here of 20 games across a 160 game season. Like, it's a lot, but it's not that much. Like, anything can happen, especially when you have, if you get the right umpire for a series, you drop 4 games in a series just like that. Like, I don't know. I don't see the disparity being so large, but also these last few years, it looks like everyone's a little closer together.
Well, the Diamondbacks last year beat the Brewers, right, in the first round, because now they're allowing 6 teams in.
Yeah, and that was an 8-game win difference. Yeah.
Right. So that's a win that really shouldn't have happened. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Brewers won their division, 92 games.
Yeah.
You finished with 84. Is you're literally 3 games above 500. And everybody's gonna say, "Oh, you're 6 games above 500." No, if you lost 3 games during the season that you won instead of winning, you're at 500. You're only 3 games above 500. It's barely winning more than you lose. And that shouldn't be allowed in the playoffs. You shouldn't allow that. But we've watered it down to where you don't have to be good at any point during the season until you get hot at that one point, and then you make the playoffs. And then you can just, if you got a great pitcher, he wins 2 out of 3, which is what that series was, with the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers 2 out of 3 games.
Right.
You only got to win 2 games, and now you're into the regular part of the playoffs. I don't like it. If you're going to do that, make it 4 out of 7 for all of the playoff series, including the wild cards, to make them prove they belong there. That's what I'm saying. If you're going to do it, add more games.
Playoff, yeah.
Yeah, add more games. But don't just allow it to be a 2 out of 3, because 2 out of 3, anybody can win that just out of almost luck. I mean, you can almost get lucky that maybe one of their players is hurt. Maybe their star pitcher has one bad outing in game 1, and you win game 1, and now you only got to win 1 game. That kind of thing. Anything can happen. But if you make it 4 out of 7, it's much harder to win. So penalize those teams. Don't let them have an equal opportunity to get in. You're giving the Braves a bye and the Dodgers a bye because they have the 2 best records. Okay, but let's make it even harder on the other teams, is what I'm saying. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel. I'm a baseball purist, and I like why do we play 162 games? If you're just going to have it be all playoffs, then just let's play a 20-game season and go to the playoffs.
Right.
There's no point.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but like I don't care that you have the best record. That doesn't mean that you're entitled to play better teams. Like, okay, this little makeshift team comes up, do your job and beat them.
Yeah. And
you've done it all year. Why stop now?
Right.
Oh, they shouldn't be there playing. What do you mean? They're all professional baseball teams. They all make millions and millions of dollars to play this game. And yes, they might get hot at the right moment, but it's not like they got in with 20 wins or 30 wins or 40 wins or 50 wins or 60 wins.
No, they won half.
They're getting in with 75
half the game
plus.
Yeah.
Well, there's too many games to begin with. We both know that.
That's
80-game
true.
seasons, perfect. Let's knock half of these games out. We don't need them.
Right.
They're a waste of time, and honestly, I would rather have 2 games a week spaced out 3 days apart and have less pitchers on a roster and see talent consistently versus having 5 games or 4 games over the course of a week, and then you get to see a pitcher one day maybe. Make
the handicap. So here's what I would suggest. Here's my solution. You ready? Mm-hmm. So Major League Baseball needs to have 8 teams in the playoffs in each league, not 6, 8. Right? Okay. So you've got the top 2 from each division and 2 wildcard teams. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, you're going to water it down again, right? Penalize the teams by making it harder for them to win a series. Here's the example. So we have 8 teams. The number 1 seed in the National League last year would have been Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right? The number 8 team in the National League would have been San Diego or Cincinnati at 82 and 80, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So make it so that they play a series. The first round series is Atlanta and San Diego. Let's just use San Diego, right? Atlanta won 22 more games than San Diego that year, right? They're clearly the better team. So in that series, since they're 1 and you're 8, the 8 team has to win 4 games. The 1 team only has to win 2 games to move forward.
I dislike that severely.
You're penalized. The other team has to prove they're better. You
this
didn't
is
all
about,
season.
This is for the fans.
I get it.
Why?
But I'm adding playoff games. Your team wouldn't have made the playoffs.
But why do I get less opportunities to see the Braves?
Your team wasn't going
to.
Your team wasn't going to make the playoffs. It's 2 more games. The Braves have a bye in round 1 right now. They're not even playing. It's 2 more games for Atlanta.
Well,
they got to play 2 more to get through.
How does that work if you make it through the round? If you make it through the first round,
once you're through the
win
first
all
round,
4, then the next team that you play is still better than you, right?
Correct.
Record-wise. Do they now have to win 2 also?
4 to 3.
And you still have to win 4?
Whatever. Make it.
And this is where you're going to start losing the games for the good teams, is because if the bad team keeps winning, the good teams don't play as many. I guess the good teams would have to play more games.
Yep.
They'd end up be playing 4. Nah, that's just dumb. That's way too complicated.
Oh, come on, man.
That is way too. Just make 8 play 1.
Yeah, but I don't.
2 play 7. Why can't
but then
be
play
normal playoffs?
That's fine, but you got to have 4 out of 7, not this 2 out of 3 bullshit.
6. I'm actually okay keeping it 6. Let's have 6 play 1 and 5 play. Like
they don't do
I'm
that.
okay with it.
Because 1 and 2 get buys, so 6 plays 3 and 5 plays 4.
Right. I get.
But that's a 2 out of 3.
Make them play. Like there should be no buys in the playoffs. Like.
Oh, I agree with that, but
they play such a long season, they have to.
But
do something.
Then go back to 4 teams like you had before. Stop adding 2 more playoff teams and go back to 4. You have 1 wild card and 3 division champions, and it's 4 out of 7. That's it.
The problem is it's non-effectual, right? Like,
well, that's where they had it before.
None of these. No, not that.
Oh.
Not that. Having these extra teams right now, it
Right.
doesn't matter. There's a couple more games of sales and maybe an upset or 2 every couple of years, but it doesn't actually matter. They don't usually make the cut and make the run and cause a bunch of disruption. You just sell a little more tickets for a couple games. I think it's all ends up pretty tamed. Because last year, I mean, the Diamondbacks had an upset last year, and then they got bounced.
Well,
I don't think on the other side there was any upsets.
So the Diamondbacks were in the World Series last year.
That's right. They made it all the way. Hey, they proved themselves, right?
But
they
to
beat
get
3
there,
different playoff teams to get there.
But to get there, the first round, they didn't have to exert them. 2 games, all you got to win. 2 out of 3. Okay, well that's what I'm getting at. Is that first round where they played a division champion, they should have had to play a much harder. It should have been much harder for them to get through. It wasn't. It was easy for them to sneak through. And at that point, you get a little confidence, and then you go. They played Milwaukee. So Arizona beat Milwaukee 2 out of 3. That's what I'm saying. It should have been harder make it 4 out of 7. Make them have to get 4 out of 7.
Who did Arizona play in the World Series?
Oh, Texas.
Oh, that's right, because Texas won it.
Right.
Okay. And Texas also was a wild card team.
Right.
You have 2 wild card teams in there.
Right.
But your problem is you're talking about the difference between Texas and Baltimore, who led the AL, is 11 games.
Yeah, that one's not a big deal because Texas.
The difference on the other side was big. Yeah, the one team had 104. It was 20 games.
90,
but it's 20 games of 160.
90 games is my cutoff. That's what I'm saying. 90 games. If you win 90 games over the course of 162 games, you've done something good. If you won 82 games and you made the playoffs, that's what'd you do?
Well, if 90 games is your cutoff, you would have ended up with exactly 4-on-4 last year. So there would have been an 88 team or an 89 team who got kept out, and the Blue Jays, the Twins would have been kept out. Yeah, obviously the Marlins, the Diamondbacks would have been kept out. The Phillies would have barely squeaked in at 90.
At 90, yeah.
But the problem is there's too many games.
I agree.
Regular season games are important.
I'm not arguing. But what I'm saying is if you're going to keep the regular season at 162 games, make it worth something. Make it mean something more than what it means. It doesn't mean anything.
The way you make it mean something is by giving them first-round buys.
Well, that's fine, but you didn't give you didn't give Milwaukee Brewers, who are a division champion, a first-round bye because they only won 92. Even if they had won 99 games, they'd still have been third. That's not okay, is what I'm saying. That's the team that got penalized is Milwaukee. They got penalized for not winning 101.
Win
Well,
more.
that's fine. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're Arizona, win more.
Yeah.
You can't get in at 84.
No, yes, you absolutely
You can now, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, you can have for the last however many years, for the last 30 years,
right.
Whatever it is. Yeah. It's the problem is we're arguing 20 games difference, right? Like that's what we're arguing between the worst team that got into the playoffs and the best team that's in the playoffs. 20 games. That's not that many, right? Not realistically. Not when you consider if they get 6 more games where a wind blows the ball slightly over the fence a little farther, or 60 more games where Angel Hernandez doesn't botch a couple of strikes in the bottom of the ninth.
That's the thing.
If you get 6 games, now you're a 90-win team. And we all would agree, 6 games ain't nothing. Like, crap happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, 6, that's my problem, is we're not seeing 40-game disparities here where a team that's has won 40 more games than another team. We're seeing 20 games at most. And in the other division, we're seeing, 101 to 87, 14. It's just not much of a disparity. Nobody's really out there. Now, that being said, go back a couple of years and you get the Dodgers.
I was going to say
111.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of wins.
If you go back further, the Dodgers won 111 in 2022. 2011, you had.
But then they won the whole thing. Like, they were clearly that good. They won a lot of games in the season, and they won all the playoff games.
Right. So you go back into some games. Oh, that was COVID. That doesn't count, right? 105 games is about what you see, you know what I mean, for those teams that are really good. It's about the average in terms of a really good baseball team. Every once in a while you have a team like the Dodgers won 111. But for the most part, as you go back through the seasons, here I'm looking at a season where there's only 100-win team. This is 2016. That was the Cubs. I won 103, right? No team in the American League won more than 95. That was Texas. So you had a lot more parity, right? But that means you had a lot of teams that could have made the playoffs, right? So you had 95 for Texas, 94 for Cleveland, 93 for Boston, 89 for Baltimore and Toronto.
Yeah.
86 for Detroit and Seattle, 84 for the Yankees and the Astros. All those teams would have made the playoffs in 2023 with those records. All of those teams. But they didn't. Only so many can get in, right? Because of the way it's structured, right? So the Diamondbacks get in because they're in the league that sucks, when those other teams in the other league are better and they can't get in. That's what I'm saying. You're stealing teams because this is the way the NBA has been going.
That you're stealing, though, you're an 84-win team.
Right.
You're stealing a spot from an 86-win team or an 88-win team.
But they won more than you.
You're stealing a spot from a 100-win team.
That's fine, but you're winning. They won more than you. They deserve to be there more than you.
See, straight wins and losses, it's much more gray than wins and losses. Because if that's the case, then just give it to the person who has the most wins.
That's
if
fine.
If there are two people that tied, have them play each other.
Let's play 190 games and just have the winner be the winner. Perfect.
Or better yet.
That's the way it used to be.
Or better yet, let's not do that. Let's not even have a final playoff game between two teams if they have a tied record. Let's move on to scoring differential. Let's do this like soccer, where we don't even actually try to have competition.
That's garbage.
We just start moving on to qualifying your way into different wins. Like,
well, that's what they're doing right now. I only need them. In my group stage, I only need 4 points to get through.
So here's your challenge to come back for next week. I want you to find me the biggest disparity between a team that got in and a team that should have got in, we'll say over the last 30 years since they started interleague play.
Okay.
The biggest disparity.
Okay.
And I'll be surprised if it's more than 10 games.
Okay.
Which at 14 was the big disparity between number 1 and number 6 in last year's AL. So, yeah, I think you're going to find that there's going to be a lot sitting at like 6 or 4 or 3.
Let's define the rule though, because before I do that.
Well, that's it's just to bring the information forward because I want to just see who
understood.
Who has.
What I'm saying is this: you're in league play where you're battling against the other teams in your league, not the American League. What I'm saying is you could have 82 wins and make the playoffs in the National League, and the worst team in the American League might have 90-something wins. That's what I'm getting at. Is that team is out, but you're in because you're in the wrong league. You're in the shitty league. You're in the bad division. That's what I'm getting at. That's the same thing that happens in football. It's the same thing that happens in basketball. And you win the NFC South at 8-8, and you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, that should
and
never
then you
happen.
usually get promptly smacked right out. You're not supposed
Usually,
to be there.
but you
Every
and I,
once in a while, somebody pulls off a win.
But both agree that team shouldn't be in the playoffs. There's no reason for you to be there. You're not doing
Shouldn't
anything.
be is relative. Shouldn't doesn't matter.
It does
The
matter.
rules are the rules. They're set up this way, so you are
understood.
perfectly allowed
But
to
you
be
can
in
change the
playoffs.
rules. They do it every year. They change
And
the
once
rules
they
all the
change
time.
them and then make an exception for someone,
That's what
the
I'm
argument that you
saying.
shouldn't be is valid.
That's
But
what I'm
right
saying.
now-
Change it. That's
Well,
my
but-
whole argument. Change
No.
the thing.
Hold on. If they change it and then make the exception to allow a team in that shouldn't be there, that's when shouldn't becomes a real thing. Right now, everyone's just operating within the system that is laid out at the beginning of the season.
Right.
That's it. Win your division. It's that simple. You don't have to beat another team's division. You don't have to beat another division. Beat your division.
You don't.
If you
Even,
do
but
that,
you don't
you're
have
good.
to do that. That's what I'm saying.
You have to. Well, you can come in second in your division if your division is just that dang good.
You can come in third.
But that's a wild card. Yeah. Yeah. If your division's that good, then you'll get it.
Last year, the Blue Jays made the playoffs. They were third in their division.
How many wins?
90. They had 89.
89. Oh yeah, they were just off of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
and the
looking
Marlins
back
were
here. I'm
third
back
in their
here.
division.
I'm back here to 2018. Well, I mean, just two stacked divisions. I'm
Right.
back here to 2018, and this is the first one I've seen where it's somebody really got kept out that I think was like, maybe they should have been. Well, no. Well, so here, Atlanta Braves had 90 wins that year.
Yeah.
So did the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
But the Rays didn't get in because they're in division with Boston and New York.
But it wasn't just the division. The A's had 97. The Astros had 103. The Indians had 91. They were behind 5 other teams.
Right.
They
right,
wasn't
yeah.
just one team that they didn't.
I know. I'm
Yeah,
just
but
saying you had two teams with 90 wins.
If they were
Who's better?
if they were 90 wins, they wouldn't have made the National League either because the wild card team, the Rockies, had 91
Yes.
wins. Yeah, they wouldn't have made either way, so it didn't matter at that point. They didn't get kept out. They just didn't win enough to get in either league. What I'm saying is, like we've been saying in the NBA, take the top 16 teams. Stop making it regardless of league or division or whatever. Stop that. Just take the
I agree
best
with that.
teams and put them in the playoffs.
I agree with that. And then don't give anyone any buys. And I want
Right.
to see
Just
7
play
game
it straight up.
series
Yep.
all the way through.
There we go. I'm
1
with
versus
you.
16, 2 versus whatever. I'm even cool if you want to break it into regions.
Yeah,
and
I'm okay.
split 8 and 8 on either side of the country if it
Right.
if it fits.
No, I'm agreed. I agree with that.
yeah.
But yeah, baseball is one of those games that just there's way too many games. If you're going to do it,
Yeah.
then reward those teams that are good. That's all.
The
I'm
problem
saying.
is, you said earlier, like, they added teams that makes the regular season games less meaningful.
Right.
The regular season games are less meaningful just because there's too many.
Well,
If there was 10 games, every game would be important.
when they went to 3 divisions,
yeah.
they added a fourth a wild card team, and I was okay with that. I'm like, okay, you got 4 teams, and then they said, oh, well, we need a 5th one. Why? Why do we have to have a playoff
So
between
that way
those
they
2
can give
teams?
someone a bye.
And then we get a 6th team. Oh, why?
So they can give 2 teams a bye.
It's dumb. It's just dumb. Just stop
Yeah.
it. Go back to 4. The top 4 teams get in. That's
I think
perfect.
I think the top 4 is. I mean, it's a 30-something team league or whatever it is. Like, I think that's not enough. Like, I'm cool with top 16 teams. Just make
And
it
that's
play it all
fine
out.
too.
And you're still going to get a team that's barely above 500 in that mix.
But they'll have to win 4 games against the best team in the league.
It's very, very, very true. I'm still sitting on 2018, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 would have been the Washington Nationals at 82 and 80.
Yeah, it's too many. That's not enough. That's not enough
And
wins
so-
to get in.
But that's my point is that there are a lot of playoff teams that are only a handful of games above 500, like
Yeah.
every single year. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, it doesn't.
15, 16. 16 the next year would have been or 2 years later would have been the Phillies at 81 and 81.
Yeah, that's
500.
If you play 500, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. Sorry.
But within that, the Chicago Cubs were above them at 84. Red Sox were at 84. The Diamondbacks were at 85. The Mets were at 86. So you only have teams here that are 5 games above 500, and you're already almost into your top 10. Like, there's too many games.
there are.
There's too many games, and it's not important enough. And because of that, yeah, it waters it down a little bit. But I do agree with you. Let's get rid of divisions. Let's just make it the best 16.
That's what I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you should have the National League. Yeah, you should go back to the old style. National League, the American League, get rid of the divisions. The winner of the National League plays the winner of the American League, plays the World Series. That's it. Done. The reward is you won the division, you won the league, and you're in. That's it. But we can't go backwards because we don't want to eliminate money from playoff games. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Never going to go back.
Never gonna go back. Anyway,
We might change the format, but they're never going to get rid of teams.
I told you I had some stuff to bitch about today.
Yeah, I heard.
Okay. That's one of them. Just baseball's one of them because baseball's stupid. It used to be great, and then it became stupid. We had to start making it more like, oh, we should be more like the NBA, more like the NFL, and add wild cards and do this and expand and oh, stop it.
It just became valuable.
It
Anything that becomes
it's not
valuable,
though.
It is enough.
It's only valuable to those 4 or 5 teams.
You just told me about what's his name's career earnings,
right?
And he's top 10.
It's valuable. It's valuable to players. They make a lot of money. It's not valuable in terms of if okay, let's assume that on day X, the Game 7 of the World Series, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Game 7 of the NHL playoffs, and the Super Bowl are all on the same day. Which one are you watching? They're all at the same time. Which one are you going to watch? Super Bowl. There's no doubt. This is how less and then what's second? Which one's second?
So you're saying it's like a finals?
You can only take one of these. Yeah. Okay.
Game 7, and then Super Bowl.
They're all 3 Game 7s in the Super Bowl. Which one you're watching the Super Bowl? There's no doubt, right? That's number one.
Yes.
Who's in second place? NBA.
NBA is a shorter game to watch. So even if they started at the exact same time,
No, I'm not talking about that. You can only watch one. You can only watch one.
Yeah, probably the NBA.
Okay.
Again, it feels like you're culminating more because every game's important through the season or more important through the season. That it feels a little more.
Right.
It just feels more important. You're not watching 180 games of baseball and then watch another 40 playoff games.
I'm not arguing with you. What I'm saying is, you said that baseball became valuable. It's not valuable. Not like the NFL, not like the NBA, not even like the NHL. It's not that valuable.
Major League Baseball total revenue in 2001 was $3.58 million.
Okay.
Guess what it was last year?
I don't know.
10.32.
Okay.
So in 22 years, it is almost tripled.
Okay.
Its value in terms of what it
inflation.
So, a little bit, right? It's partially I'm sure there's some of it's inflation, but
I raised the ticket prices $3 a seat. Guess what? That's 15,000 seats a game over 81 games. That's a lot of money.
In COVID, when fans couldn't go, they made 3.66. They made more during COVID than they did from 2001.
Yeah, it's from TV. Most of it.
But that's without fans in attendance. But that's my point. You just said, they raised the ticket prices. Well, they couldn't even go.
I know.
So the majority of this is being inflated. Like just your base TV revenues are more than you've ever made before.
I get it. But everybody's is.
That's what I meant by it became valuable.
It's not more.
It became valuable in terms of like they make money.
I would bet you. I would be willing to bet money that it did not inflate. The value didn't increase more than the NBAs or the NHLs or the NFLs. I would say that the value went up, the revenue went up in all of those sports at the same time.
Well, absolutely. But the question is, did they go up in the same kind of way?
That's what I'm saying.
The NBA from 2001 to 2021 went 2.5 to 6.4. This is just revenue. So 6.4 billion from 2.5, and that's
200%.
MLB. It was 0.5 to 9.56 in 2021. So we'll keep the years the same. So the MLB, did much better in that regard. So they've made more money over that time. NFL, though, I think is where it's going to blow it out of the water just altogether. But also the NFL is really tight about the numbers they release, so you're never really 100% sure if they're being honest about it. NFL revenue by year. Awesome. There it is. Looks like, I need premium access.
You got to pay for it. That's why they're making money.
No,
anyway.
I found another site here. Yeah, well, I know that they were at 2021. They're at $347 million per team.
Per team
was the average.
Per team. Okay.
Per team. So they were eclipsing the other two sports combined in revenue.
Right.
But as far back as I can see on this thing, 2013, they were only at 188. So they've doubled in 10 years.
Yeah.
So everything's going up, but baseball's gone up proportionately to all other sports.
Okay, but I just don't think I don't think as a commodity you would put baseball above the NBA or the NFL, and maybe not the NHL.
The problem is baseball doesn't have personalities. The most exciting person in baseball is Aaron Judge.
Nah.
Really? Giancarlo Stanton?
It would be Mike
No,
Trout if he'd
it's
stay
Angel,
healthy.
it's Angel Hernandez.
It is.
He's the most
and it
exciting
is.
person in baseball.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I buy tickets
Baseball's
for that.
boring.
Well, Angel Hernandez is umpiring. I'm
just
going.
to watch him call balls and strikes all game.
Right? I mean,
But yeah, the baseball doesn't have personalities, and they don't position themselves as individuals. It's teams. It's all about team sport mentality, and because of that, they're held back a little bit by the NFL's embraced individuals, the NBA's embraced individuals, and they've shown massive success.
They've had a few. The NBA, the MLB's had some like.
They've had superstars.
Bryce
Derek
Harper.
Jeter,
Bryce Harper was
Bryce
that
Harper.
guy. He was a star. You know what I mean? He was like the next best baseball player ever. He can hit home runs. He strikes out a lot. He gets thrown out a lot. He gets thrown out of games a lot. I mean, whatever. But they had a lot of personalities like that. The problem is baseball personalities are less flamboyant. They aren't as outspoken either because of, I think, honestly, it's because of that season being so long where they don't get high or low. A win or a loss is not a big deal. In an NFL game, 1 out of 17, that's a big deal. You get emotional about it. But if I lose a game today, in baseball, doesn't matter. We'll come back
Try again tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll come back tomorrow. So they don't get as high and low.
Oh no, we lost the series.
Oh no,
we'll get him back at our place.
Oh no,
in a couple months.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's just I think baseball needs to take a cue from the NBA. Half your games go down to 80, 81, 82, and let's see how that goes because there's almost too many NBA games.
There are.
I really think that around 40 to 50 NBA games would be the sweet spot.
But see,
I think the NFL needs to kick up to close to 20 to be right in the sweet spot.
Right, but you're doing what I'm saying, which is make the games meaningful. These games need to be meaningful. Right.
I'm paying money to see this. I want it to be valuable. I don't want Shohei to be a healthy scratch because he slept funny last night. I want him to fight.
in game 54 for the Dallas Mavericks when they're playing in Portland, I want to see Luka in the game. I don't want to see him on the bench because he played last night. I don't want to see that. I paid a lot of money for this ticket so I could watch Luka Doncic play basketball, and he's not playing basketball. That's not helpful to me. Why would I go again? Why would I go to another game if the one reason I went to this game it doesn't happen?
The problem is that and that's a thing that the league is trying to work on, right?
I agree.
This year there weren't. You have to announce when players are sitting unless there's injury. And if they're injured, they have to sit certain. amounts of time,
yeah, my thumb hurts.
That. Yeah, but they have to sit certain amounts of time.
I get it.
You have to have it published by a certain point. Now, obviously, if I think there was an issue where somebody got hurt in pregame warmups. What do you do then? Are you chipped because somebody got hurt in pregame warmups?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Right, and it could happen at midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or right before the game.
It's less likely to happen in a 40-game season than in an 82-game season.
Yeah, I mean. But more specifically, even if you did injure your thumb, you're more than likely to push through it
because you need that
40-game season.
Right. If there was only 10 games, you would push through it.
And that's my point. When with the NBA, you play each team twice, and then you play your divisional teams a couple more times. Yeah, you might just be like, I'm not feeling so great today. We don't need this. They're in the East, we're in the West. It doesn't really matter for the total standing. So
it's irrelevant.
Who cares?
Let Bronny play.
Let Bronny play. Well, yeah,
anyway.
put Bronny in.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. I mean, for the show, we went way over, and I wasn't even intending. But yeah, I had some rants, so there's that. Anyway, anything else you want to talk about before we go?
No.
Okay.
I'm all set.
I think we're done. So, want to thank everybody for listening. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. We're gonna come back next week, and we'll talk more. Next week? You back next week?
Yeah, I'll be back by next Thursday.
Do you want to do it on Thursday? Or do you want to wait?
mean, that's when I come back. I'm driving the other day, so it's either on Thursday or we do it the following week.
We might have to skip a week. I don't want you to rush and feel like, you got to get out of the car and run to the mic.
And maybe we'll do it the Tuesday after.
We could do that.
Yep. We'll plan for that.
Okay. All right. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll figure it out. But again, next week we'll have more. There's more soccer. NHL and NBA are over. Great. We got baseball to talk about more. I mean, we can continue this debate. I have homework clearly to do.
Yep.
And we're going to have our TF5 back next week with baseball questions.
Nice.
So bone up on your MLB.
Okay.
It's going to be exciting. So anyway, all right. So again, Division of Lonely Tree Media. With this, what I say, Brain Rock Productions, Division of Lonely Tree Media. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.